Hey, welcome to Hear Us Out. I'm Paul,
And I'm Patrick.
and I hope you can see and hear us. It's going to be a 30 second delay, but
I will confirm that in about 20 seconds.
cool. Which is yeah, welcome to the show. Which is I'm Patrick, and that is my lovely dashing co-host Patrick.
You just, we're up, and I just got two audio feeds in my headset there, Paul. Sorry, I completely thought you were saying something to me a second ago, but you were actually saying, I'm Patrick.
um. So, which is I hope everything which is looks good, and we are also which is audible and nice and smooth. Which is so. Tonight we're going to be talking about did our or like the original title was did DVD kill Hollywood? Which was awful. So we put in, or I made it as has the DVD killed which goes Hollywood, which is a little bit of a better title. But we're talking about essentially physical media, which goes has physical media essentially going away caused Hollywood to change considerably, kind of thing. So
Yeah, and just to be clear, to cut through the clickbait, thank you for joining us. We hope it worked. But realistically, we don't think DVDs killed Hollywood or anything like that. In fact, almost quite the opposite. Has the loss of DVD, and in this case, DVD represents Blu-ray and a lot of physical media formats, but particularly the golden days of DVD and Blu-ray, has the demise of that and the rise of streaming actually significantly hurt Hollywood and how they can make things, or at the very least, changed it and made it a huge financial pain in the neck for a lot of people. Because there was more money in DVDs than anybody's ever going to realize.
but that's the thing. So, which I actually have numbers, which we can do in a little bit.
Yeah.
Which is, but also when we meet Hollywood as well, we also mean the greater movie industry and how that works, kind of thing. Not just Hollywood itself, that also includes other areas as well, including the UK and how they make movies, and of course, obviously the more international as well, wider scale. So that's the kind of thing. Yeah, so in I just spotted Matt Damon's comments from Hot Ones is kind of where this came from. Originally he was on the show Hot Ones, and he kind of talked about how how DVD the loss of the DVDs has essentially caused how movies are made nowadays to change considerably. How if he makes a 25 I'm not going to quote it, you can go see it, it's a great episode. Matt Damon's also just an absolute great person to talk about the kind of industry, the movie industry. But yeah, essentially, yeah, he's talking about how DVDs going away has caused a lot of changes in kind of how the finances work and the business works, kind of thing, for overall creation of movies. So let's go on to kind of I guess the positives of when DVDs were around, and that kind of thing.
Well, can we set the scene a little, Paul, on just how much DVDs contributed? It's not just a positive that we all loved DVDs. The idea that you had a full financial model that involved your cinema release, then you had all of the residual formats, DVD, Blu-ray, but also the TV money, and much like TV shows ended up then also having that secondary revenue stream of not just going into syndication, but going into DVD. Like it's never really been acknowledged openly just how much of the actual profit comes from DVD and physical media.
What is the actually? So this is the great thing. I have numbers for you. This is one of the things.
Yeah.
30.
Also, disclaimer: no one true source of numbers is ever correct on this, because we've been looking at this for years. So if anybody wants to give Paul any crap for whatever numbers he's about to put up, everybody's numbers are as good as each other's, but it definitely draws a picture.
Yeah, so somewhere between 26 and 33% of revenues from each movie was coming from DVD sales. And then overall for the industry it was about 16 billion at the height, which is a massive amount. Thinking of what the movie industry was making during 2005, which is around the height of the DVD sales. So it was 26 to 33% of overall profit of movies industries during that height was DVD sales.
And it could be over 50%. And so for some, depending on the profile of the movie, it could be 60% or more.
Well, this is the thing is that's numbers as a generalization over the entire industry. For, as you said, for some movies, like all of their profit came from the DVD sales, and some movies, which is would have never, like Hellboy, for example, because of its DVD sales, got a second movie. That's the only reason why I got a second movie. And like, you know, and people probably haven't also realized that there's some big movies names that we know today and love that have only become, you know, so popular because of DVD sales. Fight Club, for instance, flopped at the box office. But once again, DVDs saved that movie, and it's become like a cult, like a cult classic, and a cultural classic at the time as well.
And the financial side of the financial trickery, let's say, that is used in the movie making business, it's not just that, oh, people rent and sell DVDs, therefore that's how they made their money. If you think about what it takes to make a movie, and I mean, you know, hire everybody, do your pre-production, your production, your post-production, your marketing, distribution, all of those things, they all have costs associated with them. So if you make a movie for 100 million, all in with your advertising, let's say it was a $50 million movie, and after advertising distribution, it's 100 million. You are really, really, really lucky if you make 100 million in the box office. And if you do, up to 50% of that is going to theaters. So you've really only made half your money back. So you're still at a loss. Where's the rest of it going to come from? And this is where the movie business trickery comes in. All major movies and most movies in general nowadays, but even back then, are actually limited liability companies. You'll find that a movie becomes a company. That's how they do this. It's a wonderful tax move that you can do.
Yeah.
But it also means that cinemas made money and sold, you know, 500 million in tickets, but sometimes studios would write it off as a loss, saying we didn't make any money because it cost us more to make than we got back from our box office, our cut of the box office. And they were able to write those things down as tax losses for some of the biggest films ever made. You know, you're talking Forrest Gump level movies where they were saying, yeah, sorry, we didn't actually make any money. The whole world went and saw it, but we didn't make any money at the theater.
Yeah.
But what they really meant was we put all of our money into getting it out, making it huge, making it, advertising it. It was huge at the box office. We didn't make a huge amount of money there, but we're planning on making 200 to 300 million on everything else over the next 10 years on it, which is a great bit of accounting, because that's how they start stiffing people left, right, and center, going, well, we didn't make any money, so we don't have to pay you any extra bonuses now. Yeah. And trying to keep all the other money to themselves.
Yeah, that was the tight-fistedness of kind of the studios going, like, you know, well, that limited company is now gone down. Okay, like, you know, it's gone, you know, kind of thing. Yeah. But yeah, you're right that it was then the studios and distribution companies that essentially made the money back by essentially doing the second wind, as it's called, with the DVD sales, DVD, Blu-ray, VHS, beta, if you're that old. Kind of thing. But yeah, so like it's a thing. And then on top of the DVD second wind thing, you also have the, like, you know, Star Wars is a perfect example of this. The digital remastered releases, the, you know, special editions also came out. Like, the second wind was essentially a 10-year second wind, because it was just like our initial DVD release, then our special edition, and then our, like, director's edition or your kind of things. Like that's where it came from. That's where, like, you know, a major amount of the money came from for a lot of the things. And then on top of that, as part of the marketing budget, marketing the DVD was also included in that. So at that time. So, like, as Patrick says, if you made a movie for 50 million and then you use 50 million to essentially advertise that, part of that 50 million is already going to be for advertising your profit maker, like, you know, down, like in 6 months. So, like, you're not losing anything.
It's a nice way of hiding that cost up front so that they don't have to lose it later on when they're making their clear profit.
Yeah, it's kind of one of those things that if the tax man was just like, why are you making a whole bunch of posters about DVDs? And they're just like, oh, no reason. You know, it's just like, you know.
What posters? What posters? You look at the hands, not at the eyes. Yeah, I don't like. I have no problem with some of the sneakiness in business. That's how businesses stay in business sometimes. The people getting screwed out of their fair share of things can go two different ways, because sometimes people will make money when they didn't expect. TV tended to do better out of um, the DVD boom, let's say, than movies did for smaller people. As in, you had Family Guy come, pretty much get, blasted out of existence, cancelled. If it wasn't for DVD box set sales, they wouldn't have got renewed after their first or second cancellation, really. But also remember, you have people who did like 4 lines in a movie that would have gotten very little. They got paid, $200 to be in the movie. They wouldn't have had a contract for anything else, as in, they weren't getting box office, but they may have been getting a tiny, tiny percentage. If all cast and crew were getting a tiny, tiny percentage of DVD sales, they may end up making 10 times as much from the DVD as they did for the original job. So there were small winners, but there were quite often big losers as well. Yeah. And that's where companies like Peter Jackson fell out with, after Lord of the Rings, a little film. Some of you may have heard of the trilogy that came out once upon a time. It was absolutely massive on DVD, and he knew that. And he had to take the company to court to say, I don't think you're being honest with us as to how many DVDs you're really selling. Because you're not giving me the number my check is not as big as I think it should be.
Yeah. The royalty system for DVDs was a kind of a Wild West kind of thing, which is like, you can hide it because different companies can distribute them and stuff like that. And then on top of that, which you kind of have in similar fashions to the streaming services, the only difference is that distribution is a lot more, in DVD terms, was a lot more difficult, because you actually had region locks for DVDs back then, or Blu-rays and that kind of thing. So that was a whole different kettle of fish, kind of thing of region locking things. Whereas now on streaming services, which is, it's the companies that's distributing it themselves, so the distribution arguments are kind of a little bit more moot. But yeah, like you would just have people who were just like, yeah, my royalties, I'm not taking a lot of money from the actual movie's box office, but I'm getting royalties for the DVDs, and they get a check for 400 something, €1,000 or like dollars just straight off the bat. And yeah, they were just like, I was garbage man number 5, because their agency had somehow argued that it was just like, yeah, give them a 2% thing on the or a 0.2% on the DVD sales.
And some of the weird horror stories are, because again, smaller movies that knew they were never going to make their money in the box office, but they were genre movies, let's say, that would do well on rental, do very well in rental. The movie coming out in a cinema was almost the advertisement rather than for the DVD, rather than the idea that they ever intended people to see it in the cinema and make them profitable. So we're making, Punch Kicker 3, whatever it might be called, or Kick Puncher, whatever it might be called. It's going into the cinema. We're not going to make our money back there, but it'll have that small sheen of, oh, that was in the cinema for a week, when it comes to the DVD rental market or the genre market where people were buying DVDs. But again, some of the sneaky horror stories that you hear I do love business people, saying, well, with DVDs, you have breakage and you have loss and you have returns and all of those sorts of things. And there's, if the rumors are to be believed, there were people writing down, oh, well, actually, $10,000 worth of those DVDs just, were lost in a truck fire, or were returned by a VHS, video store that had never actually received them. So there were a lot of people being found out for doing just dodgy stuff, which Peter Jackson wasn't going to go, without dinner. He was going to be able to put food on the table. But the indie films that relied on this, particularly in that mid-2000s, the small distributors and small production companies and the studios were really trying to pull some fast stuff on movie makers that didn't have their house or their car or their phone bill paid. So it was a scary time for some of the business maneuvers that were really being pulled on the little guy.
Yeah. And then on the reverse side of that kind of thing, you also had the little guy booming in the DVD market and stuff like that, and like not expecting it in any kind of way, and then just like having like movies or studios coming going, I like a lot of the great thing is about that period is that a lot of directors around that time who boomed in the DVD market like became more kind of like bigger household names in the sense of what they were doing because of that DVD kind of boom. But like on top of that, the DVD sales, rentals, as you said, rentals were another market to be able to do it, because they would actually, it was like they would sell rental versions of the DVDs, which were just chock full of absolutely chock full of advertisements and stuff like that as well, advertising their next DVDs, advertising their processors of DVDs and everything like that. So it's kind of like, and it was always at that point where you couldn't skip. They would like, can't skip this, can't do that. So like, yeah. So that's the kind of positive, the positive notes of kind of the rise of the DVD thing, or the history of the rise of the DVD thing with
really quickly, Paul, we should cards on the table. We both like physical media.
Oh yeah.
And there's all the other positives that we've talked about in other videos for the consumer.
Yes.
Because we love DVD extras, we love box art, we love all the special editions, all this cool stuff. But we're kind of talking positives in the general industry side for the end user. And I think we'll probably talk about this before the show's over tonight. The difference between physical media and streaming isn't just an industry loss or an industry financial adjustment. I think for some of us, there are things that we've lost along the way too.
Yeah, well, we will tie it back to like the audience level of we'll make it a little bit more personal kind of thing. But before we move on to our next part of the topic, let's run into the chat because it seems to be booming. I missed the quiz. Sorry, I was trying to sort out the stream.
Let's see. It must have an impact on sleeper hits, movies that didn't do well in the cinema but gained reputation in DVD release. Exactly. And streaming doesn't have the same effect because you're not a DVD for rent or a DVD for sale. You're on a streaming service. So that narrows down to only people with that streaming service will see your movie by accident and maybe tell other people who then won't have that streaming service. So yeah, it has definitely affected some small kind of movies that, like you say, would have been sleeper hits back in the day.
Well, like Pop Culture points out that another one apart from our lists there was Bourne Identity, was also a failed box office but great DVD one. Like there's just certain ones. Matrix, that's the thing. The Matrix was one of those DVD ones as well. Like that was a big one because I remember I don't remember that being in the cinema. I remember it on DVD in rental and to buy and stuff like that. So there's another one. Which just there's also DVD rentals. I worked in DVD rentals in small towns and they were making a lot of money. Yeah, like that's the thing is they kind of it was, so we'll be talking later on about how movies were events, family events, people events kind of things. Going to the rental store as well was another one of those events. Like, it was the mini cinema like event kind of thing where you're just like, oh, it's Friday, we're gonna go out in the car and like, get go to the rental store and kind of have a look at our movies and stuff like that. And you I don't know if you had like younger family members or anything like that, but like you would have like we'll get this one for the kids, and then like for the older members of the family we'll get this one, kind of thing. So you'd play the kid one early on, and then like play the next one when everybody's gone to bed.
For me, it was even the slightly older years because somebody commented on one of our other videos talking about this very topic of they miss video shops, DVDs, rental stores, whatever they're called in your area. And I reminisced with that person saying, yeah, what I really miss? Our local video store. Like quite literally, I would get off the bus, I would go in and look at the shelves. I got to know the people who worked there. I was mentally indexing everything, going, oh, what's new, what's not. They didn't have to put it up on new releases for me to say, you've got some weird random stuff here. But in the end, I would rent two things every time, because I would walk in and usually Jason, the really nice guy that worked there that knew my taste, he would essentially see me pull something out, put it down in a black case, there was no name, and go, right, there's your first one, now go and pick your second one. So I'd get a mystery DVD from him or video. It started with videos, but mystery DVD from him, and then I'd pick one. So I'd watch two movies, one that I'd chosen and one that was just this blind recommendation from video store guy,
Yeah.
and it was great. It's how I saw some wonderful movies without having any expectation. And I will always miss that. It was a social event for me. And there is no replacing that with streaming. There isn't a guy called Jason who's like reaching into my TV going, "Don't look, just click on the tile behind my hand."
Well, that's the thing, because a lot of people. I'm just keeping an eye on that clock.
Yep.
Which a lot of people also have like in researching this topic. I went through the Reddit kind of forums and stuff like that. But a lot of people antiquate streaming as kind of like window shopping. You can pick and choose anything and stuff like that, and you can leave it back on the shelf, and you don't really care.
Yeah.
Renting a movie, you committed to it. You know, like you had to watch, even if you didn't like it, you'd watch the whole thing, kind of thing. That was informative of kind of going, okay, well now this shapes what I like and don't like, kind of thing. But it also meant that, like, you know, older family members who may not want to go out to the cinema were able to watch movies on a daily, like on a more regular basis. My parents rented a lot more than going to the cinema. That was how they consumed, like, you know, movie media, you know. And that's and it's completely different to me because I love the cinema, but I also was just like, I can't live in a cinema. So, you know,
Yeah.
if that movie Blank Check was made today and I was in it, it would just be to buy a cinema and live in it.
Yeah.
But,
You keep a spare room for me, right?
oh yeah, I would have like themed rooms, like, you know, the Nakatomi Plaza room, kind of thing. That's a hotel idea that I'm gonna steal. I'm gonna keep copyrighted by Heroeside. Yeah, so, like, you know, older and younger which good families members were. That's how they remember all their films. Like the first film, like I remember the first cinema event I went to, but that wasn't the first time I ever watched a movie. I watched it on DVD, you know, kind of thing, and or I watched it on VHS. You know, but it was from the committing to it and deciding on which ones I want. Now I'm like inundated with the amount I can choose from, and I can watch 5 seconds of a movie and move on to the next and go nah and move on.
Yeah.
And commit to a DVD, you know, rental.
And the other side, and I'm keeping an eye on the clock too, Paul, but I think it's worth saying the fun of that commitment was in the, you know, if you were there with, like you say, you know, family, or even if you're just there with a friend and you're like, right, we're picking the movie tonight, and maybe there's a few friends back in the house, we're going to watch a movie because, you know, people don't have money to go out all the time. We're going to sit in, we're going to watch a movie, eat a pizza, and then critique the movie. And you know, one of them's going to always complain of what you picked, and they would have picked something better because that guy exists in everybody's friend group.
Yeah.
It wasn't me. But there was that commitment of, okay, well, we're down to these two videos or these two DVDs, or, you know, we're down to these two rentals. That was intense. You would start, you know, pulling things movies you didn't know anything about. Maybe you'd seen the trailers, maybe you hadn't. And that's when somebody like, you know, the store clerk, you might be, which of these is getting better feedback? Or if you took, you know, your movie back, you watched it and it was terrible. Harsh warning language, everybody, fingers in kids' ears, because there was a rule that you would go back in when you're handing back in the video, you go, that one's shite. And that was the code for don't recommend that to anybody because they won't thank you for it. They were in the business of renting, but I think they appreciate it, because I don't know how many times I picked up a movie and had, you know, somebody from the desk shout across going, now that everybody hates that. You're not going to like it. Sometimes I'd still take it and I'd end up hating it, and I should have listened to them.
But
that's me not being able to listen to advice from people. That's not his fault.
Like, that's just to Anthony Mackie said the same thing. He said that a lot of people are now going based on unfounded kind of reviews of movies, as in people are going to like IMDb and also Rotten Tomatoes, and, like, you know, rating the movies even before they've even seen them. So you're getting kind of mixed reports of actually not, like, half the people who are reporting are just liking the subject, or you get a whole troll system where they just downvote it for no reason because, you know, they're awful people or they're just bored, kind of thing. Whereas, yeah, you got the rental guy. You got the rental guy giving you suggestions, which is so. I've gotten the mark, and which I gotta run. We'll be back in a couple of seconds, which is as we change over. See you in 2 seconds.
See you on the other side. Hi, I'm a regular person, just like you. I don't have dead, lifeless eyes or anything. If you're like me, you're frustrated with the trash that keeps getting served up to you by the internet. Well, do I have good news for you? I've found Hear Us Out. These two handsome, intelligent, and not at all egotistical folk talk about everything to do with the world of entertainment, covering everything from how movies are made to what TV shows you really shouldn't miss out on. I know. A service like this must cost an awful lot of money. Well, have no fear. It's all available for free on YouTube, with an extensive back catalogue and new episodes every Thursday. To take advantage of this, all you have to do is go to their channel and hit the big red subscribe button. Insider tip: hit the little bell to get notified of any new bonus content. Add some colour to your life. I know I could use it. Hear Us Out. 3D talk in a 2D world.
Hey, and we're back. Which is so we were just talking about how the rental guy the rental person would be like give you recommendations of like, you know, on people who have watched it and they may have watched it themselves. Where currently a lot of things are now event movies and stuff like that. Let's run through some of the other quick chat things there.
Yeah.
Which is DVD also launched jobs in the film industry. Which is very true.
That's a really important point, though, that DVD and the advent of DVD and special features and behind the scenes and other things created so many jobs and gave lots of people their start that then went on to be much more, I wouldn't say significant, but have much bigger careers in the movie industry than they could have had they not had that ability to get that foot in the door. So yeah, and Pop says my friend films behind the scenes stuff for Pixar. Yeah, and that started out from DVD sales. Exactly.
Well, that's the thing. Like now on Disney Plus, you just get you get all those kind of behind the scenes documentary parts, which are all based on special features. It's the I will say this: it is the one thing that I'm really liking about Disney Plus is that they've essentially moved special features and behind the scenes into their streaming service, which is a golden choice by them.
But I gotta say, I do love it too, but I hate myself. Because it's not a DVD that's put in, which used to be the thing, put in the DVD, watch the movie, then, you know, maybe some commentary, special features, deleted scenes, whatever. Disney Plus, watch the movie, and then life moves on. Even though it's there, because life moves on and everything's just one scroll away, it's like you were saying, you know, the commitment isn't there anymore as much. So, and this is all my fault. I know this is my fault, but, you know, me and my partner sitting there watching a movie, it's hard to kind of go, okay, well, now will we watch all the deleted scenes? When they were like, I thought we were, you know, this was a 2-hour movie and then it was going to be, you know, dinner or whatever it might be. Whereas a DVD, it was like, oh, but it's in there now. You know, you're going to have to get up and take it out and do all sorts of things. It's amazing what 6 feet of walking would make people comfortable on a couch go, well, we'll just watch the deleted scenes now.
Yeah. It's always that reverence of just after the movie kind of thing. You'll just be like, yeah, let's just do it. Let's just watch, you know, deleted film, deleted things, or like this is the thing is if DVD special features didn't exist now for commentary and stuff like that, we wouldn't have Ben Affleck on Armageddon going, I have no idea why sending up oil riggers was better than training astronauts in how to drill, which is an amazing thing to say on a commentary of the movie you're in. Yeah, it's so, but like you won't get that now in kind of like, I guess, or like, I guess, semi-scripted kind of behind the scenes systems that we have here today. Actually. We'll come back to some of the items after this next segment, which is about which is sadly the kind of, I guess, the downfall of the DVDs and the rise of the streaming services. The reason we've kind of gone through kind of like, you know, DVDs in a positive light, now the downfall kind of thing, it impacts what's going to happen at the end where we talk about, you know, Hollywood and how it's affected it. But many of the reasons for the rise of the streaming services is essentially, it's convenience in a sense. which is it's a lot easier for the audience to be able to go out and not even go out. What am I saying? You don't need to go anywhere. Don't even get off the seat. You know, it just streams straight into your system. You like loads of people have PCs and or smart TVs or consoles as well. Back then, that it was easy to just get or laptops and stuff to get the streaming services straight off the bat. It means that you have a plethora of libraries essentially moving the rental store online, kind of thing, and meaning that you don't have to leave anywhere and you can be spoiled for choice. The bad thing about that is that obviously convenience ruins the inconvenient but charming rental store and DVD and going out and buying DVDs and then going to the movies themselves.
It can diminish the experience. We've talked so much about, well, you know, how streaming could affect cinema. We've talked about that a lot.
Yeah.
But realistically, what streaming really had in its sights and has successfully won. I don't care how much you love physical media, folks. We love it too. I'm looking straight down the barrel of the lens for this. The war is over. Streaming won. You can still think that it's better. I can still think that it's better. We can still keep our stuff. But this is not a game that there's, 10 minutes left on the clock. This game is over. Streaming has won. People have spoken, people have chosen, and business followed the money. That's the way it goes. They could cut out enough people. Streaming is the thing, and it has replaced physical media in that way. Physical media still has a life and still has a place, and it still has people like us who love it. And that's why we're talking about it. But yeah, that convenience, it's going to affect cinema. It's already killed physical media.
Yeah. And if you want to know more about that, we have a video about, physical media and is it dead? Go check that out as well.
Which, by the way, it isn't dead, even though I just said that streaming killed it. Streaming killed what it was. It's now something so much better in some ways.
Yeah, it's now become the collector's kind of like domain, and a special place for a lot of people like us who really enjoy the kind of physical media. The other reason for the rise of streaming is piracy. Twofold on the piracy thing as well. DVDs were fairly easy to pirate. Eventually you were able to, like, once DVDs came out and you put in security features, those security features were broken, and then DVDs were copied and burnt into multiple versions and shared out. That's just the way it worked. Piracy was a big thing for streaming. They were trying to make it so convenient, back to the convenience thing, that people wouldn't be bothered. Wouldn't be bothered in trying to set up their whole, like, LimeWire or,
the torrents, the torrent, like, client or whatever it might be.
Any kind of thing, or trying to find any kind of website that they were able to torrent off and stuff. So they made it so convenient that you just went and paid a small fee, which is the majority of why piracy was going on anyway, was people couldn't afford, buying 50 DVDs a day or something like that and trying to keep up with the movie industry, where they could pay one DVD a month a system. So this is the other thing. And then on top of that, reduce costs. You don't have to make DVDs. You don't have to, like, make the advertisement anymore, which is, you don't have to make box art or anything. You don't have to do storage, logistics of shipping, anything like that. You still have your distribution, but once again, it becomes a lot easier because it's the company themselves that are making it.
And you own so much more of it. You cut out so many middlemen and side people that you're actually charging your own internal companies. So distribution, can Disney own Disney Plus? They don't need to deal with truck drivers. They don't need to deal with factories, and they don't need to deal with DVD rental stores or point of sale at retail stores. It is incredible that it took as long as it did for streaming to take off. When you think about it now, I'm surprised it didn't happen 3 to 4 years earlier than it did.
Yeah, it was a big thing. I have a little bit of a chart here, which once again, cool. As we know, it just shows the rise of the DVD, which is that green line. DVD sales were massive during, like, the early 20s or early 2000s, and then streaming services, which is that blue line, kind of skyrocketed into place around 2018, and has moved probably further up that line as it goes on. Now, the other physical media is digital sales and stuff like that, which is like the buying. YouTube sells DVDs that you can, or Google Video, stuff like that. and you can buy essentially the digital copy of it, and then also have video on demand, which is more kind of HBO before it. HBO and Sky here kind of did a lot of the on demand stuff, and then Blu-ray sales. Blu-ray sales kind of moved into kind of that kind of weird kind of middle period. That's the purple line, where they're higher quality. Needed a special system to be able to play them. That was more kind of, I guess, the connoisseur of movies and physical medias at that time would be going into kind of Blu-rays, actually, and also it only started around 2000.
I know, and I miss those times because it was the last honest to goodness format war that we had.
Yeah,
where there were two similar formats, HD DVD, Blu-ray, Ultra. It was so great. It was VHS and Betamax all over again.
yeah.
I had massive nostalgia. I loved it because since then, all of the format wars and things like that, they've been, apples and oranges as opposed to red apples and green apples, which is always was ridiculous because somebody had to lose and there was no need to waste all the money. I'm glad DVD won or Blu-ray won. I mean, because I liked Blu-ray. But it's something that doesn't come along again. Can a bunch of companies come up with stuff to needlessly fight over? Because it's entertaining for me. That's the reason to do it.
Just the format wars. It makes you it made you like, that's the thing, is now it's become the streaming wars, but it's not as the same. It's not like, because you haven't chosen a side.
Yeah, and it's not going to be a case of you have one player and I have the other, and one of us is going to have an obsolete artifact and the other one's going to have just the mainstream thing that everybody has. Streaming's taken that away. I know it was terrible, but I found it endlessly entertaining because it happened over the last 40 something odd years. It's happened a bunch of times.
Yeah. Like it's just, so we had, Betamax and VHS was a great one. And then, like, what was it? Was this because of the weird size of the video or something?
Yeah, a whole other episode.
Yeah. But the numbers here that are saying are just DVD sales. It's just taking that green number and just showing you the decline and rise of it. Now, these are all based on US numbers, which is all going up to about 2018, it's just to show you that the numbers, I know that it's probably difficult to kind of read and stuff, but that's it. It's just to show you the
perfect.
chart.
I was just looking at 1998 with some fondness because I essentially saw the first ever DVD player that came to Ireland, and I think I must have been the first guy who was asked by someone where could they buy DVDs. No one else had ever heard of it. I worked in the Panasonic Technics shop center here, and this very harrowed looking Japanese gentleman walked in kind of just typical frustration sort of thing that you would see in a movie, and he was like so bothered. What's up? Do you have DVDs? I was like, how the hell do you know what a DVD is? This is amazing. And he's like, okay. I was like, yes, we have a player. Look at this. It's amazing. And he's like, no, do you sell DVDs? I'm like, what? No, nobody sells DVDs yet. We haven't even managed to sell any players yet. And the guy was so annoyed. I think he wanted to take like the demo disc that we had just because he couldn't get any media for his he was one of the first 50 people in the world probably to buy one the previous year. I felt so bad for the guy.
It's just the weird transitional period of that, and the Blu-ray ones was just, I remember everybody getting PCs and transforming over from DVD to PCs, and then everybody switching back and getting burners and stuff like that and stuff, and it was just like, what are you doing that for? Anyway,
pirates.
But it's just to show you the kind of the rise. So it rise sharply when it came out, when DVD started coming out. And as I said, this is US numbers, but it rise sharply and then has declined over the years as kind of more and more convenient streaming services. So
I don't suppose. Do you know when the PlayStation 2 came out? Because I remember the PlayStation 2 being the thing that took it from buying a DVD player to, oh my God, everybody's got a DVD player. Why? Oh, because the PlayStation 2 plays DVDs. And it was such a game changer here. I don't know what the international effect was, but it was one of those things where people were able to sell the home entertainment system again to everybody in the house going, oh yeah, I'm going to play Gran Turismo, but you'll get to watch DVDs.
Yeah, the rise of the home entertainment system and away from the console. Yeah, I think it was like, yeah, it was probably early 2000s, so probably about
Yeah,
2001 to 2004 was when it came out,
yeah,
kind of thing. So, but yeah, it was a big changer for everybody, where there was just like, it's a multifunctional tool.
yeah.
Um, so here's the thing. Um, we've given you the good, we've given you the bad. Um, now
What
we're
about
gonna
the
go.
ugly ball?
Now we're getting to the part where it's just like, this is what. How has this affected us? We're now past the level of DVD kind of being a major part of the industry, and streaming services major big player of the industry. So one of the big things that's changed is the type of movie that's being made. One of the big ones is the event movie is now the biggest player on the theater. It's no longer kind of, I guess, massive player of quality to it. It's more kind of, so. I also don't want to badmouth this, because Maverick has been an amazing thing, and Maverick has been an event movie that's all about the entertainment. But we're missing now essentially the quality of movies coming out. You don't get the kind of like, courtroom drama movies as much anymore, or kind of like the drama movie that you would get as
Well,
much
I was just going
anymore.
to say, Paul, if you want to know when DVDs were DVDs, and when they stopped, look at John Grisham movies. Look at, you can track rental, the decline in rental and aftermarket sales of physical media directly to how many John Grisham books were turned into movies over a period, and now not so much, because it's that type of movie doesn't financially make as much sense.
Yeah, like that's the thing. Like, it's now that, because there isn't that second wind, it's now gone. Like, movies that were designed to just be in the box office for a week and then go into DVD sales are no longer existing. Now these movies were mid-level movies. These were the movies that would stay in the box office for 2 weeks. They were targeted at a very kind of like particular audience, but that audience was very dedicated. They would go to the box office, and they would also buy the DVDs. And then also word of mouth of this group would also spread around, that if you didn't get to go to the box office, the DVD would be bought, and kind of thing. But that made that kind of suggestion, and revenue built was showing that those kind of movies was selling. And the thing is that with the rise of the streaming service, and also slightly, and I don't want to be ageist in any kind of way, it locks out a certain older demographic a little bit, in a sense now, which primarily would have worked on DVD kind of thing. So that's also a decline in kind of like how demographics have also changed in the sense that we're targeting. So to kind of go back to the event movie is the broadest, most entertaining, but not quality driven kind of movie. It's the one to get the majority of you into the cinema.
It's why you send people to drill on an asteroid rather than teaching astronauts how to drill.
Yeah.
It's those movies.
Yeah, exactly. Like the thing of kind of having, like, it is surprising how The Martian and Interstellar did so well. And then you go to the movie and you realize that it's actually just an eye candy movie. The content is very good, a very quality movie and stuff like that, both The Martian and Interstellar. But you realize that it's an event movie in the visual sense. They were just like, okay, we can't just make everything explode and everything like that. So we have to make this kind of more eye catching.
I don't know where Michael Bay is right now, but you've just woken him up from whatever he's doing. It's somewhere he's like, we can't just make everything explode.
Yeah.
Who
exactly.
said that?
But that's the thing, yeah. Like you can't have that anymore. As much. There's always a gimmick to the film now to make it still the event movie, kind of thing.
Well, that's the curious, because there's the second level event movie now. There's almost the will be an event by the time it gets to streaming movies. There are now there's a subgenre of, these are not going to be, people are going, oh, but there's still movies going into theaters that aren't big budget. Yeah, there are, but they're not getting advertised as well, like you may have noticed. They're going in with a less of an upfront cost, knowing that the studio that made it is going to put it on their streaming service, and they're like, yes, we are going to use the cinema We're going to use it to make it a cinema movie, even though it's not a big blockbuster. And then we'll actually advertise it really quite heavily when it's coming to our streaming platform. It's the secondary level event movie. It's very, very, very strange because, I saw Good Will Hunting shine as good as it gets. And I think probably Armageddon and Matrix all in the same year or within 24 months. 3 of those movies won't make it to a cinema today. Shine won't. It's one of my favorite films of all time. As good as it gets, there isn't money there to make those things for the theater. Good Will Hunting, forget about it.
Yeah,
That's made for streaming now, is as good as that's going to get. But Armageddon and The Matrix, they still stand a chance. Because, like you say, spectacle and event.
Well, that's the thing. Shawshank Redemption. I know Shawshank Redemption didn't do well until the TV thing, but that would not be made today. Like, it would have to be and if it was made, this is the other downside to the things. If it was made today, man, you wouldn't have had half the cast that were in those kind of movies in them. Like Matt Damon and Ben Affleck. Excuse me. Matt Damon and Ben Affleck wouldn't be in their own movie. They would have written it, kind of thing. I know actually they may have because it was their start, but like, if you write any kind of movie or anything like that, then Kevin Smith movies wouldn't have been made. They're gone.
Well, they never would have seen a theater. That's for sure.
Yeah, like, and there's not many streaming services that would have advertised those heavily.
Like, no, and there's the thing. You get your Kevin Smith movies, and we can probably both pull out our boxes of DVDs, and I'm going to pull out Mallrats, and I'm going to pull out Dogman, I'm going to pull out Clerks, loads of these things that, to our topic, physical media made them what they are. Without that, there wouldn't be Kevin Smith. It's not like he just made a movie, famously for $38,000 of credit card debt or whatever it was. It was that when Miramax, who supported him, yes, that's all incredible. Yes, it got shown in theaters. Absolutely. But Kevin Smith doesn't exist without the word of mouth, the rental market, and then as his career went on, the following of people who would put more and more money into businessmen and women's pockets by purchasing physical media. Now, yeah, there'd be a Kevin Smith, but we wouldn't know Kevin Smith as Kevin Smith. It'd be like, oh, I saw another movie when I was scrolling past the thing on Netflix or whatever. You're not going to have that same kind of creator fame. It's just going to be, hey, they've added more stuff to my Netflix or my Disney or my Hulu or whatever it might be.
Yeah, like that's the thing. A certain level of movie would just not be made today, or it would be made at a lower budget just to save kind of money. And on top of that, and we've seen this. This is the thing is, people might not have realized, like, Six Underground and Day Shift and stuff like that. Yeah, those movies could have done really, really well. Could have done really, really well. But the thing is that, like, they were to keep you on the platform. Yeah, that's their whole point. Their whole point is to feed you content so that you stay on the platform of the streaming service. That's what they do. They're not designed to be overly massively quality and stuff like that. They're just meant to be like, here's an eye-catching movie that you can watch for an hour and a half. There's now Netflix have a section of a 90-minute movie. Yeah, that's how bad it is. Of kind of just trying to get you to watch the content and stay on the platform. Now, I'm not complaining about Netflix particularly. Most streaming services are going to try to figure some way of making small budget kind of things. TV is a little bit better. It's a little bit better. Which goes with them creating new kind of movies and stuff like that, or new TV or TV shows and everything like that. The DVD market on those ones have kind of come a little bit back, a little bit, just to kind of make sure that you have it. Because I like, for example, I was watching Downton Abbey, and the final season of Downton Abbey left Amazon Prime, so I couldn't watch it. So we bought the final kind of season of Downton Abbey. So, like, that's the thing is, there's no second wind anymore for DVD. There's no second wind for movies. So it means that you have to be very particular about the event movie thing. Which means that you also don't get to go to like you don't go to the actor of like you don't. Tom Cruise is the only one that survived this. Actually, sorry, Tom Cruise is the only one that survived this. You no longer go to the Sylvester Stallone movie or the
Arnold Schwarzenegger movie, or
yeah. There's no kind of like there's none of those kind of movies nowadays. You go to the event movie, just like going to go see Interstellar. Like you don't go, oh, I'm going to see the Matt McConaughey movie anymore. You're going, I'm going to see Interstellar.
Yeah, and it's almost more directors than anything else these days. But I want to just qualify one thing before anybody thinks, at least, and Paul, you can let me know if you agree with this. We're not shitting on the movies that do come out or the big movies. It doesn't mean that they're bad. It doesn't mean they shouldn't exist. They are not the problem.
No.
And there's a huge thing in modern culture that seems to want to say, oh, that's the bad thing. Look at all these MCU movies. It's not their fault. Oh, everything's a superhero movie. Yeah. So they're there, and it's good that they're there. You're complaining about the stuff that isn't there. It's not their fault. It's all of these other things around basically how the business works now. And how the business works is driven, I hate to say it, by all of us.
Yeah.
Because, Paul, the rise in piracy, which has been noted, is directly linked to what you just mentioned. And I think Pop Culture, you called it out in one of your comments. They keep moving stuff out of streaming platforms. And that is a pain in the ass. You think, I'll watch it again, because it's the other side effect of it not being a physical, VHS cassette in your video store. You'll go, I can come back to that anytime. And then you go, oh, I thought Dread was on here, though. I wanted to watch that. Oh, it's gone. Oh, now it's on Amazon, not on Netflix or whatever it might be. People are getting really pissed off with that, specifically with TV shows. HBO Max is doing crazy things, removing, Sesame Street and all sorts of terrible ideas. That's why people are now starting not to go back and buy as much as they are going back to pirate, because they've been burnt in both directions. And that's, I don't, everybody, I'm on the record, I don't like piracy because, everybody who's ever worked on making something creative, it's not easy. And anytime they're not getting their work paid for, it's the same as stealing from them for me.
Yep.
I just do not get why streaming services are not better at putting countdown clocks on things. Because I think people would, happily know when something's going to leave and probably consume it faster. I don't think they'd leave the platform. I think the first platform that does that and says, this is only here for another 45 days, they'll actually get more people with their honesty.
Yeah, that's very true. Like, yeah, and it is a massive problem with kind of going without the physical copy, without being able to get a physical copy. Then you're just beholden to the masters of the platform of when the distribution rights are going to be up and moved over to. The other thing that we're going to talk about is the fact that buying DVDs or renting DVDs with all analytic data for them, and also a revenue stream.
Yeah.
So, but the difference in analytic data, because everybody's going to be like, well, if I watch a movie on a streaming service, they've got a direct thing. This is the thing is, it's fake data a little bit. Because if I go in and watch like 5 seconds of the movie, there's parts of that analytic data which is like that movie was clicked on. There's another part that says, oh, he only watched it for 5 seconds. But one of the bigger parts of statistics is that you can make it look the way you want. And obviously, you're going to make it look as positive as you possibly can. And you're like, well, this is the most popular thing in your region. And you could be like, is it though? Because I don't hear anyone talking about it. And it's just like, yeah, it's just because people clicked on it and then moved off it as quickly as possible.
And the converse is also true. That decision of, oh, look how many people are leaving after only seeing 5 seconds of this. On streaming, the chances of you clicking on something and then going, actually, no, maybe that'll be what I'll watch later or tomorrow. I'm going to go back to the other thing because somebody in the room has said, I'm not in the mood for this one right now.
Yeah.
And you would never have that with the purchase or rental of a piece of physical media. So I like when you said it's kind of fake data or it's untrustworthy. Man, is it untrustworthy? Like I don't think there's a strong enough word to say what data they think they're gathering.
That's the thing. It's like the algorithms have also suggested the weirdest stuff to me, kind of thing. And it's not even kind of
worryingly so.
That's the thing. the other big thing is that I'm getting suggested movies, not based on movies that I've watched. And the thing is that like that's not what you. I don't want to be constantly suggesting movies that I want. The reason that you went to other reasons that you went to rental stores was because, as you say, Jason was there to go like, oh, you haven't watched a movie, you want to watch a movie? Here's a new movie. You know, like my like I'm lucky because I'm in the I'm kind of like not to go too far into a tangent. But like we're in the the entertainment commentary kind of place with our with our show. We
guess, yeah.
We commentate on entertainment.
Technically, we do.
Technically, we do. We do. But yeah. So like we're up into the challenge of watching new movies and stuff like that to kind of find you. Like our rapid review system, which you haven't watched, go watch it. It's very good. Our rapid review system is essentially about watching movies and bringing them up to people's kind of attention. Now, we can do that by just watching any old movie, kind of thing. But we also like to see, like me and you like to see if there's a movie that we haven't watched, kind of thing, and get some of those things. What's that that funny the slapstick movie about which is Codenames or something like that, or it's a conspiracy kind of movie that has like cows. It's like Hot Shots and Top Secret.
Top Secret. Thank you. Yeah.
I just got it there. I would have never watched that film if it wasn't for you suggesting for me. Yeah. But there's nothing in my algorithm on Netflix, like Amazon Prime or anything like that would have ever suggested that to me. They would have suggested, here's Event Horizon 2. Kind of thing. So like that's the other thing is we're being narrowed down to what we only like, and we're getting this kind of tunnel vision of stuff where we don't get to spread out as much, which is also a bad thing.
Like I don't know what Marvel TV show I was watching at the time. It could have been WandaVision, but for a whole week I was catching up and watching nothing but Marvel stuff. So if an algorithm was watching me, it would go, "Oh yeah, that's what you're into right now." But that weekend, I went to the cinema to see Cyrano with Peter Dinklage, which, trust me, was very, very far from a Marvel movie. Completely different end of the spectrum altogether. It wouldn't have served me up what I wanted to see or what, my household wanted to see. We went to the cinema to see that, but let's just say it was all on one platform together. The algorithm would have been reading me very, very wrong at the time. Very wrong.
Yeah, that's the thing. You're like, yeah, you mean that for the next 2 weeks until you like really shove that algorithm into another direction, you'd just be going like giving Marvel stuff.
Yep.
Streaming services also spread. This is the other thing is people are going to be saying, well, isn't the DVD market kind of like the streaming market? This is the money side to things. $30 for I'm overthinking because it's probably about $13 or something like that. $13 to about $25 for a streaming service now.
Depending on the one, yeah.
Yeah, that's the cost of one. That's the cost of one DVD. And you're getting thousands of movies. Yeah. There's the money side to it.
It's that simple to convince people to do it. Yeah, that's the idea and the convenience of just going straight for it and having thousands of titles at your fingertips.
Yeah, like it's whereas in the DVD era, like you would have spent way more than $15 to $25 on movies. The rental alone would have cost you more than that, and it's not a bad thing that you can pay for one small subscription and you get a massive amount of content. The fact is that this money part of the industry has caused the second wind not to happen. That's the thing.
Yeah.
So like,
and sorry.
No, it's just so now we don't have that second wind where like, the movie comes out in the box office and then it goes to streaming service and then you get thousands of people buying it or renting it or showing the love and giving it the extra revenue stream that it's producing. It's not that. It's getting shoved onto a streaming service as keeping you onto the platform that you're already paying for. It's not.
Yeah, and it's hoping. Like it's firing multiple things on there and hoping that they'll keep as many of us. They're not even targeting you, Paul, or me. They're just going, we're going to put all of this kind of stuff up there because that's going to hit a broad enough demographic that we hope will keep them. Then we have these other cheap things that are a bit more niche. That'll hopefully keep another percentage. Trust me, somewhere there are spreadsheets upon spreadsheets upon spreadsheets. just trying to pump enough of certain things into their services to keep the maximum amount of people.
Yeah, like that's the thing. So like the like it's become insane. Sorry, so I saw pop culture's chat there. We'll get onto it in a second. The pressure of box office releases. This is the other thing.
Oh yeah,
Because of DVDs, without DVDs, kind of things that there's now it's become an elite thing to have a box office. You know, you've got companies that are just like, well, this isn't going to make it, to shove it onto a streaming. It's not like it's just the money. The reason that this is all happening, and the reason that the quality of content is going down, and the reason that we're getting these kind of really like Stranger Things and stuff, things that are very standing out, is because the quality of stuff is going down. So like because they're just trying to play the numbers.
and I think that's masked because people go, the quality is going down. In fact, we talk about the golden age of movies and TV that we're living in, but it's because so many people are making so many good things across such a broad spectrum. But look at how much other crap is behind all that, for excuse the expression, but it's the truth. They are pumping out as much crap as they are gold. There was less made previously, which is, it's significant when you consider what good and bad can look like. So yeah, we're getting more amazing stuff now than ever, but we're definitely getting more not amazing stuff now than ever too.
They are islands, sea of.
Yeah,
That's what they are.
and some really cynical content too. Some of the stuff that's being created is just like the Hallmark Channel, always forgiven. You guys just you'd picked a lane. Now people are picking on your lane, just trying to produce stuff for the sake of stuff because you can beat the formula out really, really quickly.
Yeah, like that's the thing. It's now to ride down to a formula of kind of going, just we make enough content to keep people on the platforms and that. Like and when I also say quality, I don't like camera technology and sound tech. You know, the equipment to actually make movies is a lot better, but it's also a lot cheaper. So like, you don't need, the only one that you ever see is the IMAX ones, the IMAX cameras, which are also coming down in price and stuff like that. But once again, they're just there for. So
yeah.
In all, to kind of round this out and to kind of run through some of the things, all in all, the downfall of the DVD market has definitely impacted and made Hollywood as we know it today completely different. And it is we, the audience, who is losing out. The things that were made in those periods of times will not be made today. And if they are in the corner of a streaming service, no way being advertised. So things like, as we said, Shawshank Redemption, Good Will Hunting, half of probably Robin Williams stuff like, Bicentennial Man and stuff like that would not have been 1 hour photo, would not have been made the light of day by today, So because of that, we're not being challenged.
And if anybody gets it, or anybody heard that and doesn't get it, those would be bad things. Losing those things would be bad things, just to be clear.
Movies need to be challenging, and it has not been as challenging as they used.
It's true. I want to call it a new commenter, Rose Media, created by Paul Rose. Sorry, that's the full name of the commenter. Got around 2,400 films in my physical media collection. And the appropriate responses so far are nice and wow. I'd like to echo those responses and go, thank you for joining us. Thank you for the comment. And yeah, nice. And wow. 2,400 is a pretty good number.
Yeah, and I hope
very good number.
We hope that to grow even larger.
Yeah.
Just to run through one of the comments there, Pop Culture says, but if you add up all the streaming services, it's about $70 a month. That's still not as much as you'd pay on rentals and buying a DVD. I was buying alone every week. I was buying 3 DVDs a week, back in the day, and that would have led to about 24 euro back then, which is over 100 for DVDs, and then that doesn't even mean the special editions. That was literally just the bargain bin thing of just going around to buying it. So
no, it's there's financial realities. Okay, look, we're running to a close, Paul, so I'm going to jump into saying thank you to everybody who's commented. I really hope you enjoyed this, Paul. This was your idea, and I think it was a great one. So credit to Paul, everybody. If you can help us out, you can help us out in one very, very big way. Tell your friends, share us out, share with people, let us know. We would love to have more of an audience. Very much appreciate likes and subscribes and comments because they help the algorithm show us to other people. But yeah, if you can, let people know that we're around. We're not going to have time right now, but our friends, in the links down below, go and check out some of our good friends across the rest of this wonderful internet.
So, like, subscribe, ring that notification bell, all that kind of good stuff. I've been Paul.
I've been Patrick.
And we've been Heroesite.
Hey, catch us on DVD.
See you next week. Bye.
Bye.